Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome back to my World Cup qualifier predictions, where today we have round 2 of the African qualifiers, and let me tell you, we have some hot games to talk about. But of course, before we jump into that, I do have a shameful apology to give you guys, that in order to get this video out in time, I'm recording it before round 1 has even begun.
You are a liar, actress, go the fuck out.
I know, I'm so sorry, it's so shameful, I am a fraud, but as I said, it is the only way I can get this video out in time. But of course, if you think you can do better than me in predictions, let me know in the comment section down below what your predictions are. But of course, jumping into game number 1 of round 2 of the African qualifiers, we have Zimbabwe versus Nigeria. Now I hate to say this, but what a mismatch of teams. Looking at Zimbabwe, because of them being banned from Afcon qualifiers, we haven't seen them play a competitive game of football in about a year, where Nigeria on a regular basis can score 5 to 10 goals. I do think that this game could be very ugly.
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Even with injuries in this Nigerian national team, I mean, even if Victor Osimhen doesn't play, they've got about 2 or 3 world-class strikers to play instead. And I feel like this could almost be like when the 6th graders play the 12th graders at school. It's just going to be an absolute battering. I mean, in fact, it might be the 50-year-old science teacher booting the 1st grader in the face. I do think Nigeria should be the strong favourites here, and I think they could take this one 6-0. It could be ugly. Now, Burundi versus Gabon is next, and I'm going to give Gabon the praise that they deserve. I mean, it's very much like Arsenal. They still seem good without Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Obama who?
Looking at them, no, they don't have their star man up front anymore. But versus Burundi, they should still be the strong favourites, and no, maybe they didn't qualify for the upcoming Afcon, but I definitely saw a lot more quality from them than Burundi. I think they should take this one 2-0. I think they've got some class quality players in their team, and they shouldn't really have any excuse to lose points here. Now, Mozambique versus Algeria is next, and I know I already put Zimbabwe down a bit, but I'm going to have to do it to another Southern African nation, as I don't see Mozambique getting points here.
It was said that you would destroy this and not join them!
I'm so sorry, Southern African nations. I know as a South African, I'm supposed to kind of big you guys up to give you guys some pride. But versus Algeria, I would argue maybe the best team in the Afcon qualifiers. In terms of scoring goals, in terms of defense, they were very well rounded, and they didn't really lose any unnecessary points in my opinion. I can't see them losing any unnecessary points here either. I do think Algeria versus Mozambique should pick up a very comfortable 4-0 win. I'm so sorry, Southern Africa, please don't leave me.
Shame. Shame.
Now, Sudan versus the DRC is next, and although, yes, I do think Sudan, once again, they've got some decent players. I always hear people in my comment section talk about the fact that I do underestimate them, and I am sorry about that. But ultimately, looking at the DRC, I keep on saying this, I do think they are on an upward trajectory. I think they've got a brilliant squad at the moment. I think I've seen some very positive performances from them, and I would be surprised if they didn't pick up a 2-1 win here, although, hey, I'm always happy to be proven wrong. Not really, but I kind of have to say that. But we do have Sierra Leone versus Egypt next, and once again, like many other games this qualifier round, I do think there's a very strong favourite here, and I think Egypt should take this one. I'm going to say 3-1. Obviously, looking at Egypt, I don't have to tell you how much quality they have. They are the most successful team in Africa, and even to this day, they are a very decent nation. I mean, the fact that Mo Salah up front, it was his worst ever Premier League season last season, and he still got 32 goal contributions.
Who was it?
No, not me.
Mohammed. Guilty.
It really shows you how lethal he is up front. I do think versus Sierra Leone though, in terms of their overall quality, they could bag a goal here, but Egypt still the strong favourites. Now, looking at Djibouti versus Guinea-Bissau, now I hate to say it, but it's very typical that Djibouti will get slapped.
You have lost the fans tonight. You don't deserve the fans.
But obviously, look at Guinea-Bissau, like many other teams here and many other games we've spoken about, they just seem to be a better team in terms of overall quality. I think they've got a very decent team. I do think versus Djibouti that they will go into this as favourites, and they will deliver as favourites as well with a 2-0 win. Now, tiny bit more of an exciting game next, as we have the Gambia versus Ivory Coast.
Shut up and take my money.
Now, if anyone's watched any of my videos before, which, hey, welcome back, I do like this Gambia team, and you guys would have heard me say that before. I think on the attacking front, I really think that they can be an exciting team, but versus the hosts of Afcon 2023, I just don't think that they're the favourites there. I do think Ivory Coast will take this one 3-1. I do think that the midfield battle is what will win it. I mean, I've said it time in and time out. A midfield trio of Sangara, Frank Kessie and Seko Fofana may be the best in Africa at the moment, and I do think versus the Gambia, I do think they'll triumph over them. Now, Eritrea versus Congo, as we know, has been cancelled, so we're going to go straight into Liberia versus Equatorial Guinea, and this might be our first draw of the episode, and I'm going to go with the 1-1 draw.
Boring.
Looking at Liberia, I do think they are a very, very solid team. No, they didn't make it out of the Afcon qualifier group with South Africa and Morocco, but they definitely did give those teams a run for their money. They definitely had some decent performances there. And versus Equatorial Guinea, who have been in very, very decent form over the last year or so, I do think it could be a tight matchup, which is why I can't choose a winner. Now, Seychelles versus Kenya is next. And although, yes, Kenya were in the same boat, obviously as Zimbabwe, who I mentioned a tiny bit earlier, haven't played a game over a year to their ban, I do think Kenya might still be the favourites here. I'm sorry Seychelles, but you just aren't a very, very good footballing nation.
Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
We're looking at Kenya. No, they haven't been playing a lot as a team lately, but it's not like they've been Donny van der Beek. It's not like everyone's been sitting on a bench for a year. They've still been playing for their clubs. And because of that, I still think Kenya could maybe cause some sort of upset here with a 1-0 win. Now, maybe my favorite game of this round, we have Mali versus the Central African Republic. And looking at Mali, although yes, I like the Central African Republic, I'm a huge fan of Kondogbia. But at the end of the day, one player can't win it for your team unless you're Cristiano Ronaldo for Man United 2 years ago.
Yes, I feel betrayed.
But looking at Mali, their midfield is absolutely beautiful. Obviously, Cheick Decore, very, very solid. I do think Basuma might be the best African midfielder in the world at the moment. And overall, as I said, the overall quality of Mali is very, very strong, which is why I expect I'm going to go with a 3-1 win here, although they could very much keep a clean sheet.
That's what she said.
Now, second last game of the episode, which of course don't forget to subscribe down below and leave your predictions there as well. But Chad versus Madagascar. Now, this is to be the only occasion in the world where Chad isn't really a Chad. I do think looking at them, yeah, maybe they could produce something here, but I have seen more from Madagascar over the last year. No, I'm not talking about results, they're not necessarily a team that win a lot of games, but I saw especially in the Afcon qualifier group versus some top teams, they did at least scare them a tiny bit. And because of that versus Chad, I'm expecting a 1-0 win. But of course, that does take us to our final game of round 2 of our African qualifiers with Lesotho versus Benin. Now, of course, I've already been abandoned probably by Southern Africa, so this isn't going to help my case whatsoever, but I just don't think Lesotho are going to do it here. Once again, I think Benin is a very, very decent team. I think that on their day, they could do it versus any top African nation. So versus, let me call it a lower African nation, I'm expecting at least a 2-0 win here. I'm sorry, Southern Africa. But of course, everyone, that is it for my African World Cup qualifier predictions for round 2. As I said, let me know your predictions down below if you think I got anything absolutely wrong, which once again, I kind of do these videos for fun. It happens sometimes. But of course, everyone, thank you so much for watching. This has been Finn, FYWN. Cheers.